Miss Samantha Hawes. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And as we were talking about earlier, we all know about the show Ghost Hunters, and we saw you on there. But my main focus is not on the show as much as the individual. So just tell us about a little bit about yourself and where you grew up and all that's come along with everything that you've done.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Rhode Island, where TAPS, or the Atlantic Paranormal Society, started. I'm the oldest of 5 kids.
Wow.
I am obviously the oldest daughter of Jason Hawes, the founder of TAPS, and the co-founder, is that the word I want to use, of obviously Ghost Hunters, and that was quite the ride. I am a teacher. I teach middle school history, geography, economics. I'm actually going back to school right now to get my master's in elementary education. I have 5 kids of my own. We're a blended family, so that's fun. Lots of little ones running around. But, I'm not bored. And I was on the last 2.5 seasons of Ghost Hunters before it ended, and then just, got rebooted not too long ago.
So I understand you haven't really caught the new one,
I haven't caught the new one, and, there's nothing against it. It's just, life is busy. Like I said, 5 kids, sports every night. And, I mean, I rather make time personally to watch Ghost Nation. I mean, that's my dad.
Yeah, no prejudice there, right?
Yeah, like I don't, I feel like if I had to pick one, just gonna throw it out there. Maybe he's listening, but I think Ghost Nation is doing pretty dang good.
Yeah, I have to DVR all that stuff because you get so busy, you have to pick times when you can actually watch. So I'm kind of a little behind on everything now, but eventually I'll get caught up.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm excited to see the rest of this season and the next ones to come, I'm sure.
So you think that being a part of the whole paranormal world, did that get you interested in history, or was it the other way around?
You know what? I think it was paranormal first, only because that's something that I was exposed to so early. It's, I wasn't in history class in middle school and high school before my paranormal exposure. It was the other way around. So I definitely think it assisted in that. It's not the only thing that made me enjoy history and want to be a history teacher, but it's definitely something that pushed me in that direction. And when it comes to the paranormal and ghost hunting, I like to definitely dig deeper into the historical aspect of that.
Yeah, I'm a real geek when it comes to history. That was my favorite subject. So I'm always looking at that kind of stuff. But the funny thing is Rodney, who you got to meet earlier before the show started, he's actually like our history guy and our research. And just to hear all the cool stuff about the places we go to, if that's all I got out of it, that would make me happy.
No, it can get pretty amazing pretty quick.
So anyway, whenever Michelle and I first met, she was actually on a paranormal team, and she told me, she says, "Oh, I have to tell you what I'm doing," because she thought freak out and run away. And I mean, the moment that she told me she was a paranormal investigator, I'm like, okay, I want to marry you right now. But anyway, I'd been watching the show for years and years, and I'd always wanted to do it. And I said, one day I'm actually going to not only do a ghost hunt, I'm going to do it with the ghost hunters. So a year later, Michelle and I ended up getting married, and we were trying to figure out where we're going for our honeymoon. And lo and behold, where'd we go but the Ohio State Reformatory with you and Dave and Tango, Amy Allen, and Chip Coffey was there.
Yeah.
And oh my God, Dustin was there. Can't forget him. And I'll be honest with you, when I first started watching the show and Dustin came on, I'm like, this guy's the biggest dork I've ever met.
He's such a dork.
And then I met him in person, and I'm like, this guy's really cool. And the work that he does with, the whole suicide and depression.
If you're looking out, if you're at any point in your life you want to meet like a genuinely just good person, and you're like, what is a good person? It's Dustin Harry, and that's what he is. There's not a bone in his body that is not good, in every sense of the word. I mean, he's a wonderful friend. He's a wonderful husband. He's a wonderful father. He's a wonderful paranormal investigator, a wonderful public speaker. He's just everything he does so passionately, and he's good. That's just what he is.
He was so awesome. He totally changed my look at him whenever we met him. I'm like, man, this guy's cool. But enough about Dustin. I don't want to get into that. Did your dad ever try to discourage you from getting into the paranormal? Or?
No, but he didn't push me to do that either. It was kind of just like, this is what I'm doing. If you want to come, I'll take you. If not, don't. I mean, there wasn't a push in either way. And that's how it's been with all my siblings. Some of us, like me and Haley, and my sister Tori, who was just on one of the Ghost Nation episodes, we definitely have fallen into the field and wanted to be a part of the field. My brothers are still younger, so who knows? But they're teenagers, and they haven't really showed much of a desire yet. It's more of sports and friends and, wanting to do that stuff on the weekends. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see what they pick. No pressure.
So what's it like for your kids when they go to school and their friends are like, hey, your mom's a ghost hunter? And is that like kind of cool? They got the star status at school?
Yeah, so for them, I think it's easier than it was for me. I mean, looking back 25 years ago, being the kid in school whose dad was a paranormal investigator, nobody knew what that was. So it was just more awkward to say, like, what is your dad, what is your family doing this weekend? Oh, dad's going on a ghost hunt. Like, what does that even mean? What is that? maybe we shouldn't be friends. But for my kids, it's more of, we live in a small town. So, I mean, actually, he went to pick up my daughter for an orthodontist appointment a few weeks ago, and he walked into the school, and they were like, oh, we know who you're here for. Like, that's Jason Hawes. That's Riley's papa. Like, so it's a much different world for them. Like, but they're completely used to it. Like, they don't care. That's papa. That's papa.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, I'm Paw. So that's just Pawpaw. Pawpaw's crazy. Pawpaw walks around in the dark talking to himself all the time. So Jason didn't try to push you into being a plumber or anything?
No. That was one thing he didn't try.
I just had to throw that in there. So, I mean, what did you do when you were growing up? I mean, besides the paranormal kind of thing, what was your interest?
I was a nerd who took after-school Spanish classes. I played soccer. I still coach soccer. It was just kid stuff. It was just, but I was also, at the TAPS meetings. They would always meet at a local Starbucks in Warwick, and that's just, I would always go on Friday nights. That's where we would go, and that's what we would hang out with. And whether I was 6 or 12, Dad would order me a little ginger ale. I'm pretty sure if I still went to Starbucks, he would think I liked ginger ale, but I never did. He just, I don't know why. Like, why ginger ale? Well, whatever. And just listen to, that's when I first started listening to EVPs and watching footage. I mean, people, sometimes they'll pick apart when they see, me on TV, and they'll say, oh, she's only doing it because she's Jason's daughter. You don't really know what you're doing. You were just given this role because you're Jason's daughter. But in all actuality, I've been listening to EVPs and watching evidence since I was 5, 6 years old, and I've been investigating since I was 10. So, there's quite a long, I'm not saying my father was a doctor, I could go perform surgery, but I'm saying that because he was a paranormal investigator and taught me, that hobby from the time that I was young, that it was something that I feel comfortable doing.
Yeah, so you weren't scared when you first started doing that?
Not scared. I mean, I've never run out of a location, but there's definitely, and there still are times where I'll get uncomfortable, and I just sense that. If I'm uncomfortable, I'm doing my job the way I should. Mm-hmm. So, I'll kind of excuse myself from the situation until I am more comfortable. But I've never run out of a location like that.
And have you ever worked with people with abilities like psychics,
Mhm.
mediums?
I have, yeah. I actually had a, a I met, I don't know if you've heard of her, but her name's Brandy Wells. And I met her a few months ago at an event. And she's actually amazing. And I'm actually having a personal reading done by her in a few weeks
Oh,
because I'm
cool.
just so intrigued by her. But yeah, in investigating, I've worked with people with abilities as well. And I mean, sometimes they blow me away, and sometimes I don't think we're on the same page with what we're picking up on and feeling. But I mean, to each their own, and work together when we can, and when we can't, we don't.
Well, in all honesty, in the beginning, I never believed in that kind of stuff. I mean, yeah, it's all a bunch of trickery. They just, they get information about you or,
Yeah.
what have you. So I never really took it seriously until we met our friend Naeli, and she just like blew me away.
Mhm.
There was stuff that she told us there was absolutely no possible way she could have known. And it's not something you can just look at somebody's face and pick up on. And so after we were friends for quite a while, she became part of the team. And her and our friend Max, they both have abilities, and they kind of play off each other when they're at investigations. And it's been a really great tool because it's kind of taken us past what we kind of know on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm rambling on.
No, I mean, it's just like everything else. I mean, it's one of those things that you don't wholeheartedly believe until you have an experience that makes you wholeheartedly believe.
Well, exactly. Um, you,
That's the whole field. That's all of this.
and you never stop learning either. That's another
No.
great thing about this. What we've decided to do is a hobby. This is not my living.
Mm-hmm.
I do this to help people,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not looking to get famous on television or nothing. I mean, that's great. I mean, y'all were able to do it, but you're from what I gather, y'all are more in it to help people.
Oh yeah, I mean, still to this day, TAP's family teams. There's no charge in going out and getting homes or businesses. I mean, it's to help people.
Yeah.
There was no charge in those cases that you ever saw on television. Those were all to help people. We just happened to be given the chance, and Dad happened to be given the chance for someone to say, "Hey, we think other people may want to see this," and we were all grateful for that.
So how did they find out about y'all?
So actually, my dad, my twin brothers, who are 15, they were born, and my dad, we were actually leaving the hospital for meeting my brothers, my dad and I and my sisters. And my dad's phone rang, and it was a production company calling to say, like, oh, they had come across this website that was getting millions and millions of hits. And it was the Atlantic Press Society website. And they thought, it might be something worth shooting a pilot episode for, going on an investigation and filming these guys do this and see if, it's something that would take off. And initially it was turned down because new babies were just born. Like, why picking up and going on the road and trying to do this wasn't something, I mean, Dad needed to be working. He had 2 new babies. But Mom, being the wonderful, supportive wife she is, said, film a pilot, see where it goes from there. And they did. They filmed a pilot, and it was a few months of whatever, just still working day to day. And then it was plumbing today, investigating at night with a small film crew. And, Dad was gone for 70, 80, 90 hours at a time, just between going and plumbing and going to, investigate locally. And I mean, it was a lot. It was weeks on end without seeing him. And then within a few years, we were just lucky enough that it took off the way it did. And traveling got easier. Initially, they were just driving everywhere. No matter where they were going, they were driving. There was no budget to fly anybody anywhere. There was a trailer in our front yard where they filmed every scene. There's no hotel analysis scenes, and there were hotel rooms. That was when there was a hotel room. It was multiple people sharing one room, sleeping on couches. But everyone's a family, so that was fun. They were all doing it. They were hanging out. And we were just lucky enough that it took off and lasted as long as it did. And now Ghost Hunters has somewhat become Ghost Nation. So we will see where that goes.
It's funny because I did a pilot for a show years ago. It wasn't anything paranormal, but do all this filming all day long, people falling around with the camera, and then at the end of it all, then they want to go back and ask you what you did at, it's 10 o'clock at night, they're asking you what you did at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, dude, I don't even remember what I had for breakfast this morning. Which is hilarious because people think, oh, wow, they just pulled you off the side and you're telling them what's going on. It's hilarious.
No, I'm notorious for being like, I don't know what I did 4 hours ago. Like, can you tell me what I was doing? Because somebody needs to remind me.
Can I go back and watch the
Because
footage?
I haven't slept in 48 hours and I've been walking around in a haunted building. So tell me what I've been doing for, 6 hours ago.
And y'all actually filmed those for like week time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, an episode on Ghost Hunters, an episode took 2 weeks. So the first week was investigating for 3 or 4 nights straight. And then, you would go home a day here and there to visit your family. I was in college at the time, so I would go home and go to class and go over evidence, and then come back and go over the evidence with everybody. And we found everything we found. We'd sit down on the table, and that was the first time that Dave would hear whatever evidence I found, and I would hear whatever evidence Dave found. Just because we like to keep it a surprise for each other, unless for some reason there was a question about something. We wanted everything was as real as it could be. We didn't want to go over the evidence beforehand. We wanted the viewers to see the reveal and the analysis as we did the reveal and the analysis.
Oh, for sure. So the way things are going nowadays, there's show after show after show. Do you feel like it's getting saturated with it now?
I think it's saturated in the idea that nothing's different about any of it. I feel like a lot of the teams look the same and act the same. I would love to definitely see some change of dynamic, and I've still yet to see a team that's mainly women get a television show. I've yet to see a team that wasn't run by a guy who also had the tech guy and the historian guy, like the all of that. Because truth be told, in investigating, I don't feel like anybody has one role to investigate with. Whether I investigate with my family or my friends or the local tax team, I'm not just walking in and being like, I'm sorry, I only do the tech. That's all I do. All I do is hook up the DVR. I'm the tech one. That's not a thing. Everybody does everything, whether you're changing batteries in a recorder or you're, pulling up genealogy while you're waiting for somebody else to finish. You're doing everything for the most part.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't always think that they are completely accurate, but I understand the reasoning behind that. You have an hour at the most to put together a television show, and people need to associate certain tasks with certain people.
Well, when we started our group, it was all about us coming together, and no one person was really in charge. It's just everybody pitched in. Now, Rodney just had a knack for, he's been in the real estate business for I don't know how long, not necessarily selling houses, but, restaging and all this stuff. So he's kind of dabbled in that world, so he knows where to go and research these places that we're going to go look at. And everybody pitches in, sets up cameras, puts this over here, this over there. So I'm like you. It doesn't necessarily mean somebody has to have that title,
Yeah, I'm not walking around with a name tag. Like this is my job here.
No, I'm not going to name any names when it comes to the shows and stuff, but there just seems to be some that are a little more exaggerated than others.
Oh, definitely.
Gets a little ridiculous.
Not every place has a demonic entity.
Yeah, and I don't think you get an EVP every single time you go somewhere.
No. You can sit in a building for weeks on end and get nothing, and somebody can walk in the next night and get an EVP that will blow you out of the water. So the idea you're going to walk into a place that, number one, it's a location you're not used to. Whatever there isn't used to you. So to go in with the idea that you're going to get this amazing evidence of something talking directly to you is just, that's silly. If somebody walks right into my house and walks into my bedroom and starts saying hello, I'm not necessarily going to spark up a conversation with them. I'm going to be startled.
Exactly.
So that's how I approach a situation. I always apologize first. I know this is your house. I apologize for interrupting and not trying to be rude. This is why I'm here. I was wondering if I could ask some questions. I just treat it like I'm having a conversation.
Okay, I got a question in the chat room. It
Okay.
says, would there be a type of Ghost Hunters or Ghost Nation Academy?
Not that I know of now. I mean, that's not been talked about yet, but that's not something that came up until Ghost Hunters had been on for quite a bit. So I guess we'll just have to see where Ghost Nation goes and what comes of it.
Okay. And what brought that on? Just to better educate the public, or was it just somebody said, hey?
I honestly don't know what the start for like Ghost Hunters Academy or Ghost Hunters I mean, I know international was just the need of there being so many international calls and not being feasible for the guys to be simultaneously investigating nationally and getting on planes and going international all the time. I mean, it just wouldn't work, like time-wise and cost-wise. So there were other people that everybody had enjoyed from their time on Ghost Hunters. So, we put together an international team. I'm sorry, I got a new puppy. It's ran in my room.
That's all right. I got a cat running around here, so.
But Ghost Hunters Academy isn't something that I really saw what the reason behind starting that was. It must have probably just a great idea that somebody tossed out there. And I mean, we met amazing people in the field. We met Rosalind. Adam Berry, who went on to be on Ghost Hunters. I mean, I'm not sure the reason for it, but we'll all be happy that it happened.
So you're still all friends with these folks, or are they kind of drifted off?
I mean, there's definitely some that you don't see as much as you used to. I don't see Adam and Amy as much as I once did. I mean, they do their show, so that keeps them traveling. Grant's moved to Kentucky, so he's far. But I mean, talking to people and seeing them is completely different. Of course, we talk to all these people, but seeing them face to face, I see Steve, I see Dave. Those are people that are still close and in my life, and are there for all life's monumental moments.
I got you. I got another question, and this one's coming all the way from Ireland. It says, Hey guys, what location anywhere in the world would you like to investigate?
Anywhere in the world. So my dad actually was just at the Land of the Dolls, and that's somewhere I've always wanted to be. So I was definitely jealous of that trip. But I want to go to Alcatraz. I've never been to Alcatraz, and I know the guys did on Ghost Hunters before my time. So that's somewhere that I would want to go to.
Now, is there that one place that you just absolutely refuse to go to?
I didn't yet. So there was a time in my life where I had heard so many things about Trans-Allegheny that was somewhere I swore I would never step foot in because it just sounded so, unbelievably horrible and depressing. But I've been there numerous times, and I've actually never even had an experience there. So at this point, there's no place that I would, just by reputation, I would say I wouldn't go to, because if I was doing that, I would have never gotten to Trans-Allegheny.
I hear you. Well, Ohio was a big step for us because, we're all the way here in Texas.
That was my first time at Ohio, too.
Was it?
When I met you and your wife.
Oh, I'm so glad you remember.
I don't think I've been back. I don't think I've been back there.
Really?
Since. Yeah.
Well, I know whenever we ran into Chip, he was kind of nasty to us, but that was probably just what was going on that evening. I will say I didn't really like the fact there was so many people, because they did really hard to do any real investigating, and it was too much talking and stuff going on. But I will say that the K2 would not go off for us until you came into the cell and started asking questions.
I remember that. Yeah, that was quite an amazing place, because that being my first time there, I think and having so many people at an event, you automatically just assume, or maybe it's just me, but I'm always like, oh, nothing's going to happen. Like, it's my first time here. I want to have a personal experience. I wanted something to happen. And then, but you're in your head, you're like, there's so many people around. Why would something want to talk to me when there's hundreds of people here, being loud and rambunctious? But no, it was a great night. That was a great investigation.
Oh, it was fun. Don't get me wrong. It was really fun. And it's especially when you meet people that you really want to meet and they're really nice. Because I can't tell you how many times I've run across people that are famous, and you go up and say, "Hi, how are you?" You don't even ask for a picture or nothing, and they're like, "I don't shake hands," or move along, move along. Maybe it's just me. But I mean, all of y'all were really nice, excluding Chip. But no, but seriously, no, everybody was really cool. We had such a great time. What better way to have a honeymoon?
No, that sounds like a great honeymoon.
And the funny thing is we met another couple there. That was their honeymoon as well.
Was it? Oh, that's sweet. My husband and I went to Bermuda. That was we didn't go anywhere haunted.
Shoot, the only time I've ever been out of the country is when I went to Arkansas. And you know why Texas doesn't slip off into the Gulf? Because Oklahoma sucks.
Keeps you right there.
So that's my Texas jokes for right now. No, but we're seriously talking about going up to like the Rhode Island, Massachusetts kind of area. I mean, the history alone.
Yeah, no, New England's definitely got its history and its haunted history. So there's quite a few haunted New England tours around.
So have you ever been to Galveston, Texas?
I've never been to Texas.
Never been to Texas?
Never been to Texas.
Okay, well, make sure you bring boots, a hat, and you have to learn how to talk like me.
I'll have to work on it.
No, but if you go down to Galveston anytime, take the ghost tour. And I mean, you might not see anything on the tour, but the history will blow your mind. It's definitely worth the $20.
Awesome.
I mean, it's great history around here in Austin, San Antonio. So you've got to make a trip out here.
Yeah, definitely. My husband and I have talked about going to Texas a few times, so maybe soon.
Well, y'all give us a holler, and we'll take you on all the good tours around here.
Definitely.
Your husband like Mexican food?
Yes.
Okay, I'll cook for him then. You can ask anybody. I'm the best cook when it comes to Mexican food. You think I was
awesome.
Mexican?
Good. We'll be there.
And our buddy over in Ireland wants to know, have you ever been to Ireland?
I've never been to Ireland. Never.
Okay. And okay, I thought I saw another question. I didn't. My apologies.
No, that's fine.
So, what did your mom think about all this stuff?
I mean, she's completely supportive from the comfort of her not haunted room. She go on ghost hunts. She will be there to support you, but she is not a fan of being scared. She is not a fan of being uncomfortable. But I mean, she's a fan of everybody willing to do it.
Oh, see, that's great to have a mom that'll be supportive like that.
Oh yeah, but she has taught us along the way to be skeptical about everything. So I think that helps keep us good.
Yeah, my mom just looks at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah, we don't get the crazy look. We just get the well, it was probably this. It was probably that. So she always makes a second guess, which is good.
But see, that's what I appreciated about Ghost Hunters is, I mean, not only was it a groundbreaking show, but they looked for more ways to debunk things than to automatically say, "Oh my gosh, the place is haunted. I'm running out of here. Did you hear that? Did you hear that?" That gets so quick.
But I feel like we get every once in a while we get a lot of like grief for that. Like why you guys debunk so much? Nothing's ever haunted. You see all these memes. There's like a meme that goes around. It's the Scooby-Doo crew. And it's like, they found more ghosts in one episode than Ghost Hunters did in 10 or 11 seasons. But the whole point of the show was to find the truth. So if the truth was that the floors were creaking, or the truth was that, it was just a vacuum effect that was opening the door, then that's the truth. I mean, that wasn't, why would we say it was something else? That wasn't the point of the show. And we hoped that people weren't watching in hopes that we would say something else.
I got another question on here.
Yeah.
And they want to know if you'd like to have Meatloaf back on the investigation.
I would love it because I didn't have the chance to meet him. I did not meet Meatloaf.
He's actually a really nice guy.
I've heard, yeah. I mean, he's friends with Dad. They talk all the time, but I did not have the chance to meet him.
Well, I went to a Comic-Con up in Dallas,
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, my bonus daughter, my oldest bonus daughter, don't say step. I took her up there because Burt and Adam West were going to be there, and then what's his name, Robin Lord Taylor, the guy that played
Mm-hmm.
Penguin.
Yep.
Anyway, we were up there and we were kind of looking for all the little booths that our favorite people would be at. And I turned around and this guy runs right smack into me. And I'm like, what the heck? And I looked and it's Meatloaf standing right in front of me. Of course, he's about 200 pounds lighter than what he was when I remember him as a kid. But I was like, wow, this is so cool. He's like, oh, excuse me. No, excuse me.
No, I've heard he's just a great person.
I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. Has there been a place that y'all have gone to that everybody swears up and down was haunted and y'all were able to debunk everything?
I'm sure there has. I can't think of any place off the top of my head. But there's always places that it's not even necessarily debunking everything, but like I said before, you're going to have all those experiences. A lot of the times you get told of personal experiences, and I can't necessarily have the same personal experience unless it happens to me. So if it doesn't happen to me, I have to just assume maybe it didn't actually happen. So, I'm sure there's places that we've been where we have debunked everything that we could debunk, but I can't remember any of them off the top of my head.
Oh, I understand. I mean, how many
I've been
investigations?
a lot of places.
I mean,
I've investigated quite a bit.
y'all probably been to hundreds of places, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's understandable. The one that sticks out to me, we went to, I can't tell you where it's at, but we went to a fire station, and it was enough that the firemen there were really scared. They wouldn't go upstairs. And we got there, and they said they could hear something rolling across the floor. They would hear it downstairs. And then they said that they heard a woman screaming and all this other stuff. And they've had two other teams out there that they like, oh, we got this and we got that evidence. And so I'm like, oh, cool. I can't wait because I want to catch this too. Then we get there, and what sounded like some chair rolling across the floor ended up being a fax machine that would reset it from the middle of the night, and the rollers on it sounded like something was rolling across the floor. Mm-hmm. And then the screaming, there's a bar right across the street. So I heard people scream outside when they come out the bar. So,
yeah.
Not to take away the fun.
Yeah, but but I was just saying, somebody is already on edge and nervous and may have this idea of something that they've heard in the house or they've heard about a house, it makes everything seem different initially than it may be.
Yeah. So if you wanted to start your own team?
So I work with the TAPS home team, which is the original TAPS team that's here in Rhode Island. And then there's a TAPS family team in pretty much every state and internationally. And those are teams that are backed by the TAPS home team and what they believe in and their investigation methods. But when I work with a team, I work with the TAPS home team here in Rhode Island.
All right, but you do stuff on your own as well, right?
Yeah, but usually with the help of them.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, sometimes you just want to kind of step away and do something a little off the side without a whole bunch of people around.
Totally. So. Yeah, like there are times, I'll call my sister up and say, hey, I heard of this place, let's go there and walk around. So, yeah, it's not everything is like on the books. A client called in and said, I have an investigation, I need help. Sometimes you just want to go poke around somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Legally.
Yeah, I only do it legally.
You always hear about those like fires and break-ins and stuff. Don't do that.
Right? I've never done anything wrong. Never. Usually it's, we might go to a cemetery or something that somebody claims is haunted, but, if they lock the doors and they don't want you coming in, I'm not breaking in nowhere.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming your husband's really cool with all this too.
Yeah, of course. He's completely supportive. Yeah, he's come with me a few times. Not to me, a few times.
See, my wife and I go, but I can't get my kids to go for nothing. They're like, nope, Dad. Mm-mm. Most of my friends won't go either.
Yeah, I think our kids will probably jump in when we let them.
I think you hear a puppy dog in the background.
There, he's fine. He wants to go to sleep.
um, gosh, I had something I was fixing to ask you, and I forgot what it was going to be.
No,
That's all part of being live.
yeah.
No, but I remember what I was going to ask you. How did you and your husband meet? If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, no. So we just met through mutual friends, and it's funny because our first date was, he didn't really know anything about me being on Ghost Hunters. It just wasn't something that we brought up when we first started talking. And then on our first date, we were actually out to eat, and it was the last episode of Ghost Hunters was airing that night. So we used to do all the live tweeting during the episode, and I had my phone on silent, but like 2 or 3 times I had to say, like, I'm so sorry, excuse me, I need to check my phone. It just keeps going off. And because I could hear, you could hear it in my purse. And so of course he probably initially felt offended, like our first date, and I'm checking my phone over and over. And I had told him that I worked for a production company, but I didn't tell him doing what. So then I said, I worked on a show, and it's the last episode's airing tonight, so I just got some messages going back and forth. I am so sorry that I planned the worst night ever for a first date. And then he had like tagged me in something on social media, and somebody in his family who big ghost hunter, and not 30 seconds later called his sister and was like, "Oh my goodness, he's dating the girl from Ghost Hunter." So it just went from there, but he was fully accepting of it. It's just, I don't know, it's just not something I want to bring up on like a first date.
Well, maybe if you were trying to bag a millionaire or something, like, oh,
yeah,
come on.
I mean, maybe, but when you want to just meet someone and have fun, usually open up with, during the week I go and hunt paranormal, stuff on a television show that airs in so many different countries. My dad. That wasn't really how I started the conversation.
Well, the funny thing is my wife and I, when we first met, we had actually met online, and we had talked for, I guess a month, and then we decided we were going to finally go on a date.
Mm-hmm.
And so we made the date, and I was getting ready to go, and then she messages me and says, "Look, I'm sorry, I can't go. Something came up." So in my head, I'm thinking, "Oh, I'm getting blown off here." She doesn't want to have nothing to do with me. So later on, I start getting messages from her, and I'm thinking, okay, why is this? If she's out with some other guy, why is she messaging me? Because in my head, I'm thinking she's out with another guy. And finally, I was like, okay, what are you doing that you had to cancel our date? And she's like, it took probably 10 minutes before she answered. And she says, well, if we're going to date, you might as well know what I'm doing. I'm on a paranormal investigation, and it was kind of a last minute thing, and an emergency. And I'm like, okay, yeah, come marry me. I'm marrying this girl.
That's it. Send the papers.
Okay, we got another question here. What percentage of potential clients that just want to be on TV as opposed to someone actually needing help?
So I don't know if you said that was definitely something that we would weed out on Ghost Hunters, and I'm assuming they do on Ghost Nation as well. Just not, nobody was ever really upfront with like, hey, I just want to be on TV, nor were we like, do you just want to be on TV? But you would ask about the story. They said, like, reiterate exactly what happened. When did this happen? And you kind of just pick up on little things that didn't add up and didn't make sense. And from there on, you would kind of just decide, like, do we think this is a pretty accurate case? And with the shows that would usually come to us on Ghost Hunters, they were ones that were sent to us from the TAPS website and from TAPS family teams that had already gone to the locations, which is what people are seeing on Ghost Nation now. Like, those are the calls that we would get and the emails that we would get, and Ghost Nation is taking it to actually go with the local teams that we're calling in and are emailing in. So that's, it's making it different than Ghost Hunters, is you're not seeing that stuff happening behind the scenes, or, that stuff's not happening behind the scenes. You're seeing it. You're seeing those teams reach out what they did on Ghost Hunters.
I believe I saw an episode where Grant and Jason had went to a place and somebody had set up like a mirror with a light behind it with looks like a face, and found I guess some speakers up in the ceiling, that kind of thing. So yeah, I bet you get a lot of people that are just wanting to be on television. Oh well, this will get them in.
You do your best to weed through it and to pick up on it, and really just do your due diligence to look around before you even start the investigation. But every once in a while something happens. I mean, there's a lot going on. There's a lot, you're getting that equipment out and rolling and just trying to get going for the night. And, every once in a while, things might slip by.
Oh, yeah. Out of the chat room, somebody wants to know if you have any tips on what to look for when interviewing someone.
How confident are they in their story? And, the common slip-ups, I heard, well, okay, I didn't hear, but I was told. Or this happened, but not to me. Somebody told me that this happened to them. I mean, there's always those little things. Or I heard years ago this happened in this house, but I don't know if it's true. Those were always things that we listen for. And then, why would the client want us there? That's something else that we would always really, really listen for. Do they want us there because they want us to tell them that it was haunted, it was good for business, or they want us there because their child is afraid of not sleeping through the night? I mean, there are always things that we really listen for. Now,
do you remember the movie The Conjuring, I'm sure?
Okay.
And that house that's featured in the movie is based on the house. It's, I guess, the daughter.
It's not far. Andrea Perron.
Yeah. I've read a lot of history on that place, and a lot of the stuff she claimed didn't even happen there.
There's a lot of mixed. I'm friends with Andrea because I'm friends with Andrea, but I know there's a lot of mixed feelings and stories about what actually has happened in the house.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to the house, and I don't, personally, I'm completely comfortable in the house, and that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but there are places that I've gone to and immediately feel like, you're being watched and you're uncomfortable. But I know plenty of people who have walked into the house and said, no, it's a no-go. I'm not going to stay here. I'm not going to be in here. And I know the current owners as well, and they swear that things happened there that were documented when Andrea and the Perron family lived there. So, I mean, it might just be one of those things that some people experience and some people don't, and that may forever be the way it is. But I don't know. I actually haven't investigated it, so I would enjoy the chance to investigate it, and I've been offered the chance to investigate it. It's just not something that has been pressing to me to prove either right or wrong, so I haven't made a point to do it.
I always feel like people are watching me when I walk through Walmart or Sears or... and they're following me outside. No, I'm kidding. So anyway, anything else you would like to talk about before we...
I don't think so. I think we talked about everything that I could think of.
Okay. Can anybody reach you on social media? Would you mind sharing that?
Yeah. No, I'm on Instagram, and I have my Facebook. So my Facebook is Samantha Hawes /Tats, I believe, all uppercase. And then my Instagram is Samantha 2_Hawes. I know if you do Samantha with 1_ Hawes, it's a wonderful young lady who sells homemade jewelry, and she gets Instagrammed a lot when I do podcasts and things, and I feel bad for her. She has a wonderful jewelry line. I always swear I'm going to order some, but I'm 2_ and then Hawes.
Okay. And anything else that might be coming up that you can talk about, or you can't?
There's nothing I can really talk about. I know that there's always lots of fun things happening and interesting things happening, and I hope that I can share stuff soon.
So we can all just sit back and just hope to get back on TV?
You can just anxiously await to find out.
I will be on pins and needles until that day. Not that I don't enjoy
Okay.
watching your dad, but you
No,
know,
I mean he's better at it.
he's just
He's got more,
he's getting old. He's getting old. We need to get the younger generation in here. No, I'm kidding. I'm
right?
kidding.
Well, tell your wife I said hi, and you guys should go on a second honeymoon to Ohio State Reformatory. It's an
Maybe.
amazing place.
Well, we'll come to New Hampshire
Right?
or
If we
Rhode
come to
Island
Texas, we'll let you know.
or Rhode
My husband
Island.
just walked the room, so I'll let him know you said you could cook amazing Mexican food.
I will do that. You tell him.
Huh?
You
My
just
husband said he loves Texas.
okay. Well,
He's been to Texas.
come on down. We're right in the heart of Texas. Hi. Doing awesome. Nobody else gets to see, but I got to see your husband, and he looked just like the pictures on Facebook.
He said he'd hope so.
Okay, who was that other guy I saw you with? No, I'm kidding.
Right. That one jumped out the window.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
Sure. And before I end, oh yeah. You go ahead. And I'm sorry. I'll message you later. And
Okay.
anyway, keep in touch.
Yes, of course. Tell everybody I said hi.
Oh, we'll do. Have a great
Bye.
evening.
You too.
Poor boy.